on our show we have Johannes, and I think his last name is Geir Kristiansson.
Not even close. You butchered it. My name is Johannes Geir Kristiansson.
Okay, thank you. So I believe you are based out of Iceland, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Have you always been there?
Yep, born and raised.
Awesome. Yeah, and we were just talking about how you get like 20 plus hours of sunlight today. So right now, even though it's a little darker on your end, or even though it's a little later, it's still light out.
I wish I could show you, but it's just bright sunshine. Yeah.
Man. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about your journey. I think I saw that you have been at your current place for about 13 years. But I think I read somewhere that you operated a forklift before that.
Oh, so yeah, there's a little bit more to that. So, I started working for my dad's construction company when I was about 15 years old, roughly. And I ended up like going to sort of like a trade school, learned how to become a carpenter. I am a licensed forklift, excavator, and a tower crane operator. But my niche interest is telescopic material handlers. Yeah. Hey, everybody needs a hobby, right?
Tell me about that. Unravel that. I don't know what that is.
So, you know how like you have a regular forklift, like it just goes, up and down, right? You can tilt a little bit. Telescopic handlers, there's a telescopic boom with the forks on the end of it. So, those are like the regular ones that just look like trucks with a telescopic boom. You can go up and down. I think the biggest ones are about 18 meters up. You can lift about 4 tons usually. Then you have a significantly bigger model where they can rotate at the top. Those can get really big. They can reach up to about 35 meters, I think, and 7 tons. So yeah, good stuff.
So you were in construction and the trades before you got into IT?
Oh yeah, I was in that for like 10 plus years. Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, 10, 15 years, something like that. Had a lot of good time, built a lot of houses, renovated a lot of buildings, did everything from drywall to concrete, steel beams. I was a foreman for a while, foreman for a while. I had like a whole team of people under me. So I've done a little bit of everything. I don't know how much of a tangent you want to go on this.
Go for it.
Almost got myself killed a few times. Yeah. That sounds bad, but the worst part about that, and this is something most people don't realize, is that the first time you almost die for some stupid reason, you're shaken. Like, oh my. Ugh. The fourth time, yeah, whatever. You don't think about it. Yeah. Not always the smartest thing. I haven't always made like the smartest choices when it comes to like my own safety, I guess.
Was it?
Yeah. Then yeah. Go
on. Was it just kind of a part of the job, or was it just like things you were trying?
Oh, it's a little bit of both. It's one time it was a piece of scaffolding that just collapsed under me. That sort of thing. One time I had to repair something that was really, really high up. It was an electrical motor, and I slipped, and I almost fell down like 30 meters, which is what, like 90 feet? Yeah, that made my heart skip a beat.
Tell me about that, man. I think that's a very interesting path from construction to IT. Like, was there something during that time where you were maybe tinkering with technology? Was it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I've basically been into computers since I was like 12 years old, but I just never really I don't know. I never really thought of it as anything that I could make a career out of. It didn't really make sense to me as such. Or like when I looked into it, it's like, oh, you need to go to university. You need to, be really good at maths and blah, blah, blah. And I just sort of just felt immediately defeated and figured, yeah, this isn't for me. Also, I kind of like the construction bit because you see, so this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine of working in IT. You can work in IT for 10 years and you see absolutely no difference. Whether you rolled out a system that affects 100 million people or you updated somebody's office, productivity suite. You see no difference. It's the same. In construction, you see roads getting paved ahead. You see buildings rise out of the ground. Like, man, I renovated that whole building, and those memories stick around and those buildings stick around. Even now, like 20 years later, I can still spot some buildings like, hey, yeah, I remember that. I was on that roof when we did that thing and, whatever. In IT, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, IT is an interesting one, right? Because although your day can be always different, sometimes the thing you're doing might not really be a physical or tangible difference. It's like maybe we updated to the devices to Windows 11 from Windows 10, but the computer is still the same. The concept is really not huge. There is advantages and other sorts of things, but to like the natural eye or to the regular Joe, it's just a software. It's just my computer's working.
I will say one thing that, over the years, some people have asked me, like, so you went from construction to IT, and like, do you feel like you wasted all those years because there's no overlap in experience? I reject that completely because in construction, you get taught very quickly that every project has a beginning, middle, and an end. The end and the beginning are very important because too many people in IT are stuck in the middle. They don't understand that things have a beginning and that there is absolutely going to be an end. You can't just drag your feet for decades. Too many people do that.
Absolutely. And I think, that's true. So how did you get, into IT? Was there people that you were working with at the construction site that were in IT, or, how did you end up in IT?
So there was this little thing called the global financial crisis. Oh, yeah. So the construction industry here hit like 99% bankruptcy. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. And I was unemployed for a while. And I sort of stumbled into basically like, when you're employed for a while, because I live in Iceland, like there's social security here and all that. I ended up having to you have to pick like a training course. Like you need to get you busy. Like maybe we can figure something else out for you, right? And I had an option of various things, and one of them was like computer repair. I think it was a CompTIA A+ training course. And I figured, hey, I know a thing or two about computers, so I might as well just try it out. I aced the course. And once that was over, the company that did those courses, they hired me to teach the next one. So yeah, I was like, okay, maybe this is something for me. Then following that, I decided to sign up for what was it called? The Microsoft MCPIT, Microsoft Certified blah, blah, blah. It was a whole thing. It was really expensive. I had to pay that out of my own pocket. Yeah. I think today it's like $8,000 or something. And when you're unemployed, that is... still, I figured, like, I'll give it a shot. Since the CompTIA thing, it worked out, right? So we'll give it a shot. I think there was 18 of us that tried that course, and we ended the ones that graduated, it was like 6. Most people just gave up. So yeah, following that, I got a job. Like the teacher, he apparently saw some potential in me, signed me up for a job. He contacted a company, or they contacted him, and that's where I've been for the last 13 years.
You're starting there in 2012, 2013?
Yeah, 2012.
Okay.
Basically got the job as a Christian, I sort of joke about it, that I got the job for Christmas in 2011.
So
And even like that whole interview, actually, it's kind of, because not to sort of derail you completely, but I distinctly remember going to that job interview, like the first round. And I didn't know anything about that company. I was just like, hey, maybe I'll get a job, right? So I just put on my jeans and like a t-shirt, was mostly clean, right? I show up and it's a guy in a suit and an HR lady in a very fancy business suit. They're dead serious, and they sit down and they start talking. And like 10 minutes into this, I start thinking to myself, oh boy, I'm screwed. This isn't gonna work. No way. So I figured, okay, since I'm here, I might as well just have some fun, and I'll just start answering their questions in like what the first thing that comes to mind, instead of like the usual curated, interview nonsense. You know what I mean? And at that point, they start asking me questions like, hey, can you work independently? Or like, can you, so on and so forth. And I can start answering like, yeah, of course I can. Like, who would say no to that question? That's a ridiculous question. Who would say no? No, I can't work independently. You have to hold my hand the entire time. That sort of thing. They were impressed. I got a second round. Those guys loved me as well. And yeah, 13 years have flown by.
wow. Do you remember in that beginning phase what some of the projects or things you were doing?
So I was basically help desk, and at the time, so it's the company that I work for is a result of multiple mergers. So there was a whole lot of different cultures around, and even when I got hired, I was asked, so from which company are you from? I'm like, no, I'm a new hire. I'm completely original, and there was a lot of people just like, what? No way! You never met one of you before. But yeah, for this project, it was just, I think for like the first year and a half, not much of a project. I was just answering the phone, replacing people's computers, taking care of the AV, and taking care of Polycom. Have you ever heard of Polycom?
I've heard of Polycom. It's like a phone system. Is that correct?
So
No.
it's a remote meeting solution back then. This stuff was hideously expensive. And it was complicated to set up. Like, dude, when I say expensive, it's like tens of thousands of dollars, right? And you needed to help somebody set these meetings up every single time. And what is the first thing you see when you finally manage to connect? A IT guy on the other side who is doing the exact same thing every single time. It didn't matter if you were connecting to like a European investment bank or some engineering office in South America. It doesn't matter. Always the same thing.
It was a part of the requirements. The IT guy has to come and help you out.
Yep, every time. But yeah, then like I figured, surely like with a lot of us, the things that I was doing, surely there's a way to automate some of this. Like, there's no way that if I'm that the companies that are like 10 times the size or 100 times the size, that they're doing all this manually. There is no way. So that's how I sort of that's how I sort of got into group policy at the time. And I very quickly ended up just taking that whole thing over. So that became my baby. And then I got introduced to Configuration Manager, and that became my baby. That was in like 2013, 14. It was in that time when Config Manager was a bit of a ghost town. Nobody, like, there wasn't really seeing much attention from Microsoft at the time for various reasons. But yeah, and then after that, I think it was, yeah, that at that point I just became the endpoint guy. I own all the endpoints. I manage everything in endpoints, and once you start doing that a lot, I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but people who deal with endpoints, you end up having a significantly better overview of what your environment looks like and what is possible and what isn't possible. I think a lot of configuration people, endpoint manager people have a very similar story.
Yeah, not only because you are the endpoint person, but because you are the endpoint, you touch a lot of the other different aspects of the computer and the identity, the network, right? So
security, the databases, you name it.
Everything. And it's, although it's right, it's only a part of endpoint management. It's a super broad scope of things that you have to have somewhat of an understanding, if not a good understanding, because it's in your environment. So then you gravitated towards the endpoint space at that point. Who were some people that, maybe you were learning from? How were you getting your knowledge for Configuration Manager?
Oh, shout out to Johannes Mark for sure. Man, that guy, like, you just read his blogs and like, man, how does he do it? He knows so much. He definitely stands up. Him, and I guess Mike Terrell as well, but definitely Johan. Man, he helped me out a lot. I still remember the day I met him for the first time. I was like, man, I read all your blogs. He's like, yeah, awesome, right? He's such a cool guy.
I've never met him officially, but I've passed him, and I actually was riding with him in the elevator and just was like, hey, what's up, man? And super humble, super nice guy.
You should get him on the show for sure.
I want to know who taught him Configuration Manager.
It's funny you should say that, because even like when I'm getting started, there isn't a whole lot of I feel like at the time there wasn't a whole lot of community around this. I mean, it existed, it was just very small, it was difficult to find, difficult to get into. So I can't imagine what it was like when he was doing it. It must have been that. Honestly, it's incredible that he found the amount of success that he did. Testament to his strength of character, I guess.
Absolutely. And right, I'm sure he was dealing with his things going on with his work environment, but also having the time to give back to others. Like, shout out to him.
Absolutely, so. 100%.
And so you're going through the Configuration Manager phase. I think, if I remember correctly, it was 2 years ago or something, you decommissioned your CM server at MMS.
1 year ago.
1 year ago. Okay. Yes. So tell me a little bit about the journey from CM and then kind of the upbringings to Intune. I just kind of want to see, like,
Right. So
yeah, just tell me about that.
That is a bit of a story. So, I got into Config Manager, got really deep into it. I wouldn't put me in like the top one. Like, I don't know what I would put myself on, like the knowledge scale, but I think I did pretty well. Especially for somebody who like is in-house IT. But it was around 2017. Microsoft released like a news blurb or a blog post, and it was very small, and they didn't make a big deal out of it. And the only thing it says was, so there is this thing called Intune, and now there's a policy you can set, and the policy says if there's a policy coming from group policy and Intune will always win. Now, I thought to myself, well, that's super interesting. That is such an odd thing, because in 2017, Intune was garbage. It's like
Silverlight?
Yeah, Silverlight. Yeah. It was slow, couldn't do anything. But like, I thought to myself, well, that is such an oddly specific thing to do. So I decided, okay, clearly there's something going on. I'm going to start paying a little bit more attention to Intune. I know it's not great at the time, but clearly Microsoft, it's a corporate empire, so they have plans. So I decided to take a look at it, and that's sort of how my Intune journey started a little bit. I mean, it took a few years. It wasn't really until it wasn't really until November 2019 that I fully realized that, oh shit, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal. And that happened at Microsoft Ignite in Orlando, 2019. It was my first huge international conference that I go to. And that was a hallelujah moment. Like, you go there's 25,000 people. You sort of feel the energy in the room, It's fun. But they announced a bunch of things, and I got to talk to a few people. And at that And the first thing I did when I came back home was I wiped my work computer and I enrolled it into, at the time, Azure AD. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to manage this with Intune. I don't care how bad it's going to be. This is 100% the future. And man, did that pay dividends during COVID.
100%.
Everything was set up. Yeah.
Wow. So you were kind of, testing the waters right before the pandemic. Wow.
Yep.
Without kind of realizing the events that were about to turn.
Even then, I decided, I don't even know why. I decided I'm just gonna, every problem that I hit, I'm gonna fix it in Intune, not on my endpoint. So when the next computer gets added, they don't have to deal with it. They just get it automatically. And man, that paid dividends. Oof.
Having been in the config man space for a long time, and having done really well, are there things that you missed from it, from CM, while being in Intune?
Only grouping and targeting. That's the only thing that I miss. Everything else, not really. I mean, that's a bit of like a cop out, because that's kind of that's the only thing Configuration Manager does in a lot of ways. I thought I would miss it more, that there would be something that I would, like kick myself, like, oh man, maybe I did this way too quickly. But no, I don't regret it. We probably could have done it like a year sooner, if anything.
What were some big takeaways when you were doing that transition from CM to Intune?
It sure felt like I was the only one doing it, and now, a year later, it still feels that way. I'm way ahead of the curve. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but man, I'm definitely way ahead. Compared to the Americans, 100%. Not so much in Europe, but
yeah, no, absolutely. I remember being at an Intune Day conference maybe last year, and I think somebody asked like how many people are straight up Intune. A lot of hands weren't in the air.
Yep.
So yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. Like a lot of people have complex environments. I don't know, right? I don't talk to these folks who are trying to transition over. So I maybe one day I would like to learn some of the.
It's not as difficult as people think it is. And the whole "I have a huge complex environment" trope. Yeah, I mean, everybody does.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the company is not a support system for you or a courier. You are there to support the company. And the way we see it, my employer, is that we are risk averse. So investing in something like managing your endpoints with a cloud solution, or joining them to Entra and so forth, it is seen as an investment in risk reduction. It's not just chasing like the next big thing. It is because, oh man, I almost forgot about this. So we went through a risk assessment a few years ago. So we basically got somebody who does risk assessments for a living, but knows absolutely nothing about IT and how any of it works. And that was an eye-opening experience. Like, how often does something happen, and how many does it potentially affect, and what is the severity of it? And when they found out about a domain controller, they damn near freaked out. Like, whoa, you need to get rid of this thing. This is horrible. Like, are you telling me if one of these gets popped, the entire company's gone? My guy, Jesus.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the story. Was it Australia? A bank in Australia? I think they had this huge.
Combank. There was Combank, and then there was Emory.
Yeah,
at the Emory University in the US, I think. Yeah,
where they had kind of this fiasco with their servers going down, and maybe I think getting wiped, I believe, and just causing all sorts of commotions.
Yes, I think there was an HP. I think with Combank, it was an HP contractor who made an adjustment to a collection query that all of a sudden put every device in scope of the query. And, well, there was a required operating system deployment deployed to that collection. So it just automatically wiped out absolutely everything.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So you are getting into Intune. Is that when you? When did you start with Intune training?
Oh, that's a good one. So I had known Adam Gross for a while. Known him through the WinAdmins community. And he sort of just calls me out of the blue. And like he had been doing Intune training for a while. And for some reason, he just calls me out of the blue like, hey, you want to make a video with me? I'm like, sure. And that's at like midnight my time, right? And I didn't really have a camera or a setup or anything at home. So I'm like, Adam, give me like 20 minutes. I need to drive to work because they have like there's better stuff there. So I just drive to work. We make the video and didn't really think much of it, but then it just kept piling on. And yeah, Intune training was a hell of a thing.
Do you remember what year that was?
I don't. 21? 2020 or 2021, yeah. See, we could probably... Nah, okay. Not going to look it up right now, but we could.
And how was that? Tell me about that. Were you on there weekly? Were you on there... I think you're still on there, right?
Yeah, well, yes and no. Just full disclosure, that whole show belongs to Adam and Steve. They own that whole thing. I was just the stunt guy. But they figured, they were going to do their sort of content on Intune, and then they figured they'd have like a B team. They would do sort of tangential content, like graph, that sort of thing. So that's how I got involved. Got more involved. And did a few videos with both Adam and Steve, but one of the problems is that Steve lives in Australia and Adam lives in the US and I'm in Iceland. So Steve would wake up in the morning and start recording. He would hop on a call with us. That would be his morning. Adam would be in the evening and I would be at like 3 to 4 a.m. This was not sustainable.
No, absolutely not.
It was a lot of fun, but not sustainable.
Yeah, you can only ride off adrenaline and excitement for so long until you're like, oh man, this is catching up.
Yep. But still, I had a lot of fun.
So then tell me about WinAdmins. I know you were the one who started that?
No, not me. So back in the day, it was founded by I wasn't there in the beginning. So there was as I understand it, it started out as a Google Hangout. It wasn't even called WinAdmins. It was called like Configuration Manager Admins Google Hangout. And then there was some guy who ran a Microsoft Exchange something. And they decided to sort of merge and use, I think it was Slack. Yeah. So when I joined the Slack, there were like 500 people there, 400 or 500 people. I got involved. I'm like, hey man, it's a great platform, right? This is in 2015. 2015, June, July timeframe. I got involved, got really involved. They decided to make me part of the admin team, and then that community started growing and growing and growing. And I think at our height, it was about 7,000 people. Yeah, quite big. Now, for those who don't know, Slack, the free tier of Slack is a miserable experience. There are no moderation tools because the whole idea behind Slack is that you'll just call HR if somebody is misbehaving. So we had a lot of problems with that. There was also the message buffer is only 20,000 messages, so we would roll over every 30 hours. It would just some channels would just get empty. They just drain out. We looked into a bunch of alternatives. That was in 2019, September 2019. Yeah, that's when we moved over to Discord, and now we have like 14,700 people there. So yeah, good times.
That's absolutely crazy. And I know you all meet up yearly at MMS at
Yep.
Cadillac Ranch for like a dinner.
Yeah, Cadillac Ranch has been the only place that has been willing to take us on. Now, initially, it was 40 people who showed up. No, that was Benihana. Yeah, it was 40 of us. We decided to meet up at MMS. Benihana could take us on because they had 4 different tables, 10 people per table. The next year, the sign up was 50 plus. So we went to the Cadillac Ranch, and it has just been building up ever since. I think this year's MMS, it was like 86 people who showed up. Yeah, like we're like, man, this is getting actually really, really big, and just ordering food becomes a huge problem.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even get my food this year, and so the waitress was just like, yeah, you don't have to pay for your beer, just leave, it's fine.
Yeah, like logistically, it's tough. It's tough.
It's a good time though. I think everybody had a good time. But if it keeps going like this, we're gonna have to do something else next year for sure.
You're gonna have to I don't know, maybe rent out one of the rooms and just do like catering inside of the hall.
You'd have to do something like that.
Which honestly, I don't know, wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Like one of those big halls inside of a mess. I don't know, right? Man. So you've been involved with that for a while now then.
Yep.
Man. And it's really awesome because, right, I'd imagine that all the messages, right, stay in the archive.
Yes.
So
yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean I'm in there constantly, if I have something going on at work, I'm like, let's see if this problem was mentioned, and likely it will be, so
I think we've done a pretty good job. It works. We have very little troublemakers. We got rid of them early on. We have an absolutely fantastic moderation team. And the admin team is also just... I'm not doing this alone. It's a whole group of people. And man, I couldn't do it without them. They're absolutely fantastic. Every single one of them.
What are some of the challenges and some of the successes that you've seen from Discord itself?
I think challenges in the beginning was whether we should focus on... Well, how do I put this? We had some people who were very knowledgeable, but they had a toxic personality. And we weren't entirely sure what to do about it. If we let them stay, it's just everything is going to rot around them. But then again, but if you kick them out, are people going to leave? Oh man, all the knowledgeable people left. Why should I stay here? That took us too long to figure that out. And in the end, we just decided to boot them. You're being get out. And the community growth basically skyrocketed as a result. Why would you join a community where somebody is being mean to you all the time? Right? It makes perfect sense afterwards, but at the time we weren't entirely sure.
Yeah,
because we wanted to grow. Now we don't even think about it anymore. It's like, man, this thing keeps growing all over on its own. We barely ever advertise. We never really tell anybody about this place, but it keeps going and going and going.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you all have such a great platform there, and it really is I think the community there is awesome. Helping each other versus putting each other down. I think it's simple. I think it's simple in that aspect of right, as you mentioned.
Did you ever hear that story about the guy from Ukraine?
No.
Right. So this is in the early days of the war in Ukraine. So late one evening, there's a whole bunch of us in the voice channels just having that conversation, and then all of a sudden, this guy pops in. He speaks with a very thick accent, terrible English, but we figured okay, dude, just chill out. It's fine. We'll help you out. He had some Intune questions, and try to help him, and then all of a sudden we start hearing machine gun fire, like a lot of it in the background, and then some explosions. The guy screams, and he just cuts the call. There's like 10 of us on the call. Like, wait, is this guy in Ukraine? Like, what the hell was that? I think there was machine gun fire. Is he okay? And then like 10, 15, 20 minutes later, the guy hops back on.
What?
As if nothing had happened. We're like, dude, where are you? He's like, I'm in Ukraine. I have to work. Yeah.
That is crazy. Oh. Man, wow. Shout out.
He's still alive. Yep. He's still alive. Yep.
That's crazy. Well, I hope all his Intune questions are answered.
Oh yeah, you gotta help him as well. But man, that is just something you don't forget something.
100%. Wow. And right, being in a Discord with that many people, you get to interact with people, I'd imagine, all over the world at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. The biggest number, this huge chunk of Americans, because it's an English speaking community, so you're going to get sort of the UK and the US populace to show up. There are a few people from Europe sort of spattered all over the place. Nobody from Asia. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody really active from like Asia or like the Middle East, those regions, or Africa. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder if they have their own WinAdmins dash,
they probably
Asia.
So I've been on the internet for a long time. It's almost 30 years now. And you don't really think about it that, surely like, hey, everybody goes to Reddit, right? It's an American website. And then then if you think about it, no, there are actually hundreds of millions of people who don't. They have something else. What that is, I have no idea. The Germans who speak German with other Germans, they're not going to go to an American website. They're going to have their own thing. Same thing with the French. Chinese have their whole thing. Japan and Korea, they have their whole other thing. Even like Australia, due to the time zone difference, they don't really hang out around our time zone.
Yeah, that is true. Now that you think about it, like, right? I've never, because I'm in the U.S. It's obvious that I'm gonna be in the Discord. I'm gonna be at Reddit. So that makes sense, right? So that's interesting.
Especially for like a mostly interactive text stream like Discord. Reddit, I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people from Australia in Reddit and Twitter and that sort of thing, because it's not that interactive. You could just leave a post and somebody else will pick it up. Yeah.
So when did you start blogging and getting into speaking?
2021, I think. Yeah, that was almost entirely because of Adam Gross. The reason I'm in MVP is entirely because of Adam Gross.
Shout out to Adam.
Shout out to Adam Gross. Have you met him?
I have. He's such an awesome guy.
He is such an awesome guy. So yeah, he got me into blogging. I hate blogging. I do it, but I don't like it. I struggle with writing text. It takes me weeks to come up with a single post. But yeah, he pressured me on, encouraged me. He even nominated me to become an MVP. Well, he suggested it, and I said no. I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't think I'm a material for this stuff. But he didn't relent. So he ended up nominating me, and I got approved. And that was a hell of a day. But yeah, that definitely started my whole public speaking and blogging and just being way more active in the community.
Do you remember which one you did first? Did you start blogging? Did you start speaking in like a user group?
Blogging first, yeah.
Okay. And for speaking, do you remember like what was your first session, where it was?
No, but there is one session I definitely remember. I was on a holiday in Scotland. I was in Glasgow and meeting some friends of mine. And there's a Intune user group at the same time. So I figured, hey, I might as well drop by, right? Meet some interesting people. And as we were going there, I get told Well, one of the speakers, he's sick. He's not gonna make it. And I, for some reason, just, well, I'm here, right? I have no slides, I have no demos, no prep. I don't even have a laptop. But I'll just step in the podium. I have some things that I can talk about. And hey, they applauded. It worked out. That is by far, like, so far, the best public speaking engagement I've ever done. I don't think that's gonna get topped anytime soon.
I'm sure, like, you're like, well, I'm already here. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about, like, the night before being nervous or anything. Just like, let's let it rip.
Now, I'll tell you something. Every single time I've gotten on stage, my heartbeat goes to like 170 for the first minute. Every single time. It never gets any better, ever. But then you just go through it anyway. The point of the comfort zone is to step out of it.
Absolutely.
That is like my one sort of advice to anybody. Absolutely, like, anybody can do this. You're not comfortable, and it's stressful. It is enormously stressful to do this. So I get it that a lot of people don't want to, but at the end of the day, you're just standing there and talking to people. It's not that bad.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful because the people that you're talking to, if you are presenting in like a technical realm, it's like it's kind of like they're doing the same thing. They're kind of having similar troubles. You're just kind of you're just voicing your learnings.
No one is going to rush the podium and punch you. That doesn't happen. That is not a thing. Nobody's going to make fun of you. Like, it works out. But then again, as you know from sitting in a booth at MMS, you get like, there's a whole stream of people passing by, and you talk to every single one of them. And it's like, the first time you do it, I'm sure it was a little bit stressful, but you're just talking to people. And
Yeah.
Most people are just nice. It's no big deal.
Yeah, and right, I think it's really helpful because it's in the same realm. Even if it's not the same realm, right? After a while, you get kind of used to it.
I think everybody can find success.
Absolutely.
I think that I believe that very. How do I phrase this? I think there are too many people who don't even try, or they have not been raised in, or they have not lived in an environment where that sort of thing is encouraged. Where it's, why do more than other people? Why make a noise? Why don't you just sit still and be quiet? And I think everybody can find success. It doesn't matter what it is. There is smart people who can solve problems have been in short supply for thousands of years. It doesn't matter whether you're a plumber or you're a car mechanic or working in IT. Smart, capable people are always in short supply. Everybody wants somebody who fixes a problem. Nobody's interested in people who create problems.
Yes. That is a great way of saying it. In that realm of you solving problems, is there anything currently in IT or outside of the workplace like that excites you, or there's something that you're looking for? You're like, man, this is going to be fun to watch. It's like evolution. Could be technology, could be something else. What's something that excites you?
Well, out of the workplace, I'd say getting rid of passwords and going passwordless. That is something I'm very excited about. We are getting very close to it. It's a lot easier than most people think. Outside of work, or sort of like tangentially related to it, I guess I'd have to say the AI, but not necessarily for the sort of overly hyped reasons. I think there's cause for concern. It has a lot of potential for good, but also a whole lot of potential for really bad things. Now, I'll phrase it as such that one of the things that AI is going to do is that it is going to significantly increase the value of people who know what they're doing, and the cost of is going to drop to zero. Anybody can create anything. They don't have to understand any of it. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're writing code or writing an article or even creating a video or a podcast. If it can't be generated in 5 seconds, it can be dismissed in 5 seconds. It has no value.
Yes. What are some ways you see it doing good or potentially being good?
Things like translations. I'll say that as somebody who is multilingual. I think one of the sort of underestimated strengths of AI is that it can give you context when it's doing translations, and that is really, really strong. And because it's not just like, I know this is a use case from where I work because it's a civil engineering firm. We've had people who use AI to, let's just say they're typing something in a different language than their own. They can do sort of like they have the technical vocabulary for what they're doing, but not sort of like the everyday parlance, right? So they can write it up to the best of their ability, chuck it into the AI, and say, make it sound business casual, like fix some of the grammatical errors, make it seem like I actually know the language, and then they get that up, and then that's the output. I think that can bring it already brings significant value to people's lives.
Absolutely, yeah. And I see, like, back to that translation thing, especially if somebody maybe is not super comfortable. Say their first language is German, and their second language is English, right? They might not seem very confident or like be able to articulate the stuff that they're trying to say. But if they say it in their first native language, right, they're gonna do it sharp. They don't have to second guess, right? So they can actually articulate what they are trying to say without having to think about other things.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, AI is here to stay, and I'd like to add one more thing, and this is something a whole lot of people realize, is that for people in IT and in the tech bubble, it sure seems like AI is absolutely everywhere and everybody's using it, and it's already here. I dismiss that. I disagree completely. It takes usually decades for things to become ever present that everybody uses. Even smartphones haven't quite reached that yet. Everybody still has a grandma that doesn't have an iPhone, So like, you can't tell me that everybody has one when your grandma doesn't have one, and there are little kids who still don't have one. So the AI is now, 2-3 years old, roughly? My mom doesn't use one. Neither does my grandmother. I don't know any little children who use it. But in the coming decades, they absolutely will. But so stem the tide of the hype. There's no need for the hype. It's going to get here eventually. A lot of this AI stuff is going to be proven to be completely worthless, and some of it is going to be life-changing benefits to everybody.
Yeah. I'm excited for the positive that comes out of it, right? The way it's helpful for others and accessible. So, in that realm, what kind of advice do you have for people, the next generation of people getting into IT, or, right, maybe the workforce?
That's a really good one. I would say you should not run, just because you can take shortcuts with things like AI. That doesn't mean you're going to get away with not knowing the basics or not knowing how something works inside and out. If you want to be a true professional, you have to understand the entire stack of the system that you are using. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's endpoint management or database management, or even just handling email. If you don't understand how each step of the stack works, you will never reach the height of your career. You will never reach the full potential of your career. You will end up becoming one of those people who has, you don't have 10 years of experience, you have 10 years of the same year. What have you been doing for the last 9 years, man? You're still doing the same thing. You don't understand anything. I think all of us have met somebody like that.
Yep. So in that realm, we talked a little about the technical stuff. Who is Jóhannes outside of the keyboard? What do you like to do? What do you like to do to, get your mind away from technology?
I've collect hobbies. I used to be really into firearms for a long time. Competed in sharpshooting. Then, oddly enough, I got really into baking cakes for a few years. I got really good at it, even though I say so myself. I can make a chocolate cake that will melt your brain. Oh yeah, it's a good one. Then I started, yeah. That's sort of been the two main hobbies for the last few years. Currently, I've been so busy at work that I simply haven't had time for anything. And that's not a good place to be in, but hey, here we are, right? I should probably do way more traveling, though. That is something I really enjoy doing, and I don't do enough.
Did you travel recently, or did you travel maybe a recent time?
A while ago, let's just count the countries. So I've been to Norway, Denmark, Germany, France, Netherlands, Belgium, the UK, the US, China, Morocco, Croatia, and Austria, I think. Yeah, so there's 12 countries? I would love to go to Australia, Korea, Japan, China again. Man, China is amazing. It was amazing when I went there 20 years ago. I can't imagine what it's like now. That place is back then it was just full of potential. And that it was very dynamic. So no wonder they're taking over the world right now, right? I definitely need to travel more to the US and travel around in the US. There's a whole bunch of states that I haven't been to.
Is there anywhere you're going next? Anything on the agenda?
Yes, I'm going to Scotland in 2 weeks to speak at the Workplace Ninja conference in Edinburgh.
Nice. Workplace Ninjas UK? I think it's awesome. Who are you presenting with?
Martin Himken.
Nice.
He is, man, we've been friends for years. He became an MVP earlier this year, which is well deserved. And we are going to be speaking about why you should do Enterjoin, and we're going to talk about passwordless, and then I have a session with Steve Wiener about Autopilot.
Cool, man. Hopefully that those sessions, the demos, and everything be going smooth.
Of course they are. Come on, man.
No hiccups. Everything has been perfect. The demos are flawless. There's nothing wrong.
Now, I'll tell you one thing. If you know your stuff, speaking about it is super easy.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's drywall or, cleaning a shotgun, or talking about Enterjoin. It doesn't matter. If you know your stuff, it's easy.
Yeah. Especially if you work with it. It's like you're just telling people what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And I see you have a customer connection program sweatshirt. Were you a
Yes,
part of
that's
that?
from Microsoft. Yes, I'm a part of it.
Nice.
That's a Microsoft thing.
What is it? I've heard of it. I don't really know what it is.
So you can sign up for that. So anybody can, I think, attempt to sign up for it. It is aka.ms join community. So it is a way for Microsoft to have a slightly more relaxed conversations with their customers on a variety of topics. That's probably about as far as I can go without breaking my NDA.
Yep. Nope, understandable.
But yeah, it's a good community. It's a neat way to meet interesting people.
Were you at the MVP summit a couple months ago?
That was my second one. And man, that is a hell of an event. Any sort of self-doubt, it's out the window immediately. Every person you meet is at the top of their game. Every single one of them. And even just being on that Microsoft campus just sort of highlights what a corporate empire that company has become. It is absolutely enormous. And then you get to meet some of their employees. And you don't have to worry about being the smartest person in the room. You're not. There's going to be somebody in the room who's way smarter than you.
Which is good, right? Because they're going to challenge you in ways for you to grow.
I'd say it's a bit mutual back and forth, but yeah. It's definitely the highlight of the year. It's the best part about being an MVP is to get to meet really, really interesting people from all over the world and share some insights with them back and forth.
Did you get to meet anybody outside the endpoint space?
Not really, because that event, like you've been to MMS. If you think that's busy, the MVP Summit is way busier. There is just so much going on, at least for me. If I'm gonna hop on a 7-hour flight halfway across the world, I'm gonna keep myself busy. There are people to talk to, people to meet. I'm gonna do the best that I can to like use my time to the best of my abilities, 100%. But eye-opening moments, all positivity, 100%. That like, when you're not the smartest person in the room, the only way you can go is up.
It's good to be around. It's good to be surrounded by, people who are smarter, but also they're there to help like you grow as well.